We can start the class, I guess. Yeah, could you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. What is the date today? Today is November 15th of November, okay, 2016. All right, we continue our discussion on the book, The Foundations of Buddhism, written by the Rupert Gethin. But I think last time we stopped at the sutra called the Dhammadipa Sutta, usually translated as setting the wheel of Dhamma in motion. Okay, I think before we continue that the sutta, why we have to talk about this sutta? I like to ask anyone, just whatever, if you know why we have to read this sutra. Why? Okay, or maybe you could just say something about what is the significance of this sutta. Why this sutta is so important? Is it?
I mean, historically, this is the first sermon given by the Buddha.
Okay, because it's first sermon given by the Buddha. All right.
The creation of so that's the Dharma passing down, the moment he becomes a Buddha, and also the moment the Sangha is created. So I would say that's
the moment the Sangha is created.
Because if he just has all this knowledge and he does not teach it to other people, then there's no Sangha.
Okay, all right. And
also it talks about the core principle.
But that's still something missing. But maybe we didn't come to that part. But anyway, since you said it's okay. This sutta is very important because that's the first sermon, or you could say that that's the first sutta the Buddha taught. And this is definitely in history says so. But if you don't, if you want to look at the non-historical kind of record, particularly like in China, the way they said is actually the Buddha trying to speak the Avatamsaka Sutta, Huayan Jin, first, but then nobody understand. And that's why then the Buddha changed his mind to have the first sermon on this sutta. Okay, it's a kind of like the Chinese way of explaining why you have so many different variety of the Buddhist texts, and then how do you explain those Buddhist texts? Supposed to be like they think is so important, but then kind of like historically not recorded, But then Huayan Zhong and the Tiantai Zhong in China, for that reason, then they need to find out kind of like you could say the let me see how they say the term. In Chinese called Pan Jiao, okay? In Chinese called Pan Jiao. But this is not necessarily is our topic, but it just give you some idea, I mean, in general. So it's actually a Pan Jiao is not the pan, it's not like judge or something. The pan here is referred to the way they arrange the teachings. Okay, it's a kind of like one of the very serious method of kind of in those like kind of like very serious of the. I forgot there's a term in translation in English. Other than I cannot remember because my mind is still, Well, anyway, so just know that in Chinese, when I say Chinese, I mean not necessarily the earlier Chinese, but then since the Tiantai and the Huayan Zhong came, this is why in China these two schools, Tiantai Zhong and Huayan Zhong, are so important. One of the main reasons because they able to explain, or they think they manage to explain, maybe put it this way, manage to explain how during the Buddhist ministry you have so many different forms of Buddhism. It's because the Buddha didn't try to speak the Avatamsaka, mean Huayan, first. However, but nobody understands that as a Mahayana text, and that's why they start to say then the Buddha changed to speak about Hinayana, mean the Xiaochen Fozhao, the the easier one, you know, the Sravakayana. But that definitely this is nowadays in the modern time. Nobody would take that part because that's definitely there's no proof at all, you know. Okay, but that's how the Chinese understand. Even now, if you go to China, I tell everybody traditionally after 7th century, and then this is how they think that what the Buddhism is. You know, that's the way that you can explain the existence of the Mahayana text. Okay. Anyway, okay. Now, but you know, since we are in reading this book, and also we must understand in general in academic, you know, how they understand in academic, because they have a lot of proof, you know, and then. So for sure that this is the earlier text that the Buddha trying to speak, and then it is also, even if you look at the Tibetan sources, that it's the same thing, say the same thing, that then the Buddha have the first sermon in this place. Where about? Where's the place in the first sermon? Where is the place that the Buddha delivered the first sermon? Deer Park, yeah, sorry. Okay, Deer Park. Okay. In Deer Park, and the Deer Park was okay. Deer Park, and then the Deer Park usually we have the name called Isipatana. Okay. Okay, and then why the Buddha went to the Deer Park, Isipatana? Why?
Study with him.
Yeah, there were 5 ascetic used to live with him, right? Even though Chinese have a tradition say the 5 bhikkhu, but no, you could say the recluses, 5个修行者 or 苦行者, right? And then there were 5 the recluses used to live with him, and then why the Buddha didn't? Why the Buddha approached these 5 ascetic?
Simplicity. I mean, 2 of his teachers died already, so those are the only 5 people that cannot know him. So he has a greater chance of success in passing down the Dharma. Okay,
before actually the Buddha was really committed. I mean, you could say Siddhartha, as an reclusus, he committed on practicing this what we call a self-mortification, 就是苦行嘛. And before he was committed in this self-mortification, he will follow 2 teachers, right? Any other persons could answer me what did this teacher taught him? Actually, those are quite important story. You have okay, actually the teacher, those 2 teachers were taught him about the meditation, okay? Taught him meditation, and well, nowadays what we understand the meditation is about the jhana, or dhyana, okay? Do remember those times when you learn Buddhism in English. So, dhyana, okay? Sometimes we write jhana. Dhyana in Chinese, I mean, there are so many translations, but then usually that's the kind of chana, okay, dhyana, okay. Jhana is just a Pali, it's just a Pali word. Dhyana is a Sanskrit word, For example, if you speak to Indian people, you say dhyana. I think maybe, especially the old generation, definitely know you're talking, or something meditation, like a kind of very powerful state of, of meditation. All right, and right, and then the first thing, now we're back to our text already. So after the Buddha arrived, Isipatana, the name Isipatana actually literally means the fallen of the sage, okay? The fallen, because there's Isipatana used to be believed is the most spiritual place. But then it's also very famous because one of the very powerful sage on the India kind of legend. He could really fly all over, but because while he was flying, he saw a beautiful woman, then because of the lust come to his mind, and then he falls down on that place. Okay, but anyway, that's why the name is called Isipatana. Patana, Isipatana, and actually Patana mean fallen. Okay, Isi mean the fallen of the Isi mean the sage， 就是我们叫仙人哈，the fallen 所以 you find 仙人罪嘛Isipatana. Okay. Anyway, and the first thing the Buddha told these 5 ascetics that there are 2 extremes that are not to be indulged in by one who has gone forth, right? What are these 2? One is that devote to the sensual pleasure, and then the other one is that avoid, let me just want to see how it translates here. Devote to the self-affliction, or you could say self-mortification, okay? Mortification. Now, it's clearly to say if those people who are wanted to gone forth, right? You know what is the word gone forth? Chuja. Yeah, or yeah, it's chuli lah. It's a chuli. So for those who wanted to be gone forth, there were 2 things has to avoid. One is that those who are devote to the sensual pleasure, and those devote to the self mortification. In other words, those 2 things, the Siddhartha, before he attained the Buddhahood, he had experienced that, right? And then when you compare these 2 lists, you need to look at it. It's when those people who want to gone forth, if they are devoted to the sensual pleasure, how this text trying to say it's base, vulgar, common, ignoble, unprofitable. Okay, but for those who are practicing the self-mortification, it's painful. Okay, painful, ignoble, unprofitable. Okay, but you when you look at the list, you will see that there's no such a term base and vulgar here. 就是说他们也说它是下列、低劣的啊。When those who gone for the line, it's not helpful because it's painful and it's still like it's not wisdom. It's ignorable and unprofitable. It would not helpful for you. It would not help you to gain enlightenment. Basically, that's what they mean. Okay, but at least he didn't say this is a base like you should look down on the pond. Okay. And then this is the first time, and that's the first sermon of the Buddha start to mention about the term middle path or middle way. So avoiding both of these extremes, the middle way realized by the Tathagata. I always said usually in the early Buddhist text, then the Tathagata is a third person, in Chinese called Ru Lai ma, but it's always referred to mean I, okay? Because in old day you don't say I, realized by me, you will say realized by the Ru Lai mean realized by me. So, and then not only just realized by that, because how to get this realization? Because avoiding the 2 extreme, and then you will be kind of like walk on the middle way. Okay, that kind of middle way would produce vision, produce knowledge. Okay, in Chinese, vision is called 见. That means that will produce something you can witness. You can 见证, witness. And then produce knowledge. That means then this kind of knowledge will come to you. Okay? And this kind of witness and knowledge this knowledge and the knowledge and this witness will bring us to calm, to direct knowledge, to self-awakening, to unbinding. Okay. please remember all these kind. I don't mean you have to remember by heart, but you still know. In Buddhism, it's very important. You know, you have to again, you know, trying to explain the quality of this kind of weakness and this kind of the knowledge, and this kind of the knowledge and the weakness and the knowledge will bring us to upasamaya, abhinyaya, sambodhaya, nibbanaya, samvattade. Mean will turn us to, or you could something can translate samvattade in original, but usually we translate lead us. Just it turn us, or you lead us. Okay, turn us to upasamaya. Okay, abhinyaya, sambodhaya, nibbanaya. Okay. Anyway, upasamaya is mean completely like appeasement. Okay. Jijin, completely like appeasement. Okay. And no, not only that, it will bring us to. Now, firstly, will bring us to have will bring us to the horizon, the noble truth, up to the bring us to the horizon of the eye, horizon of the knowledge. Okay, that's right. And then these eyes and knowledge actually will let us to, you know, calm down, and then attaining of some kind of like superpower. Okay, and also have the kind of wisdom, and then that will lead us to the nibbana. Okay, the cessation. That's called the nibbana. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think now, then the Buddha continue to say, what it is middle way by the Tathagata. What are these? Okay, and then this middle way will producing this kind of eyes, or you could say the weakness, and then the knowledge. What are these? So that is the Noble Eightfold Path, right? Remember? Okay. Now we come to what? First, second, third, fourth, because we have talked that before, so I need to skip that. First, second, third, fourth, we come to the fourth paragraph. So, and then what are these? The Four Noble Truths. Okay. Okay, what are these Four Noble Truths? So, the truth of the suffering, but here translate the truth of the stress. Okay, the truth of suffering. So there are 8 kinds of suffering. Okay, right? Could anyone say what are these 8 kinds of suffering? Even in Chinese, I think as a Buddhist, we usually that is important. Or you can look at the here. Maybe just read through it. What are these 8 kinds of suffering? First one, birth, is the suffering. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and then the another 4. So, 求不得苦, okay, and then 爱别离苦, separate from a love is suffering, right? And then 怨憎会苦, so or associate with the unbelief is suffering. Okay. Oh. And the last one, or you could say in conclusion or in short, okay, define the clinging, the attached to the 5 aggregates is suffering. Okay. So they are altogether 8. Okay. But anyone can, maybe we can elaborate a little further. Besides these 8 kind of suffering, so, and then sometimes we also explain 11 kind of suffering. Anyone know that? Anyone? But not necessarily in the text here, but then when you further read it in the Buddhism, no. Anyone? Well, one is the formation is suffering, 行苦, okay. And then the changing, things going to be changed, like, nothing is stay forever, but they would, bound to be changed, or what we call parinama. So sometimes we say changing, someday in Chinese translate always say 坏苦, but actually you could, maybe the best translation is changing from one phase to another phase. So 我们叫坏苦, and then suffering is suffering. That the first word suffering refer to like pain, not happy, and the second word suffering mean the in general understand the truth of suffering. Okay, 就苦苦. Those are very important if you do meditation in the future.
Sorry.
Oh, who say want to say sorry? Yeah, because I cannot write on the street. Quite cool. Cool. So if you add these three together, so there are 11 kinds of suffering. All right, and then the Buddha told the five ascetic there are 8 kinds of suffering. Or you could say this 8 kinds of suffering is understood as the truth of suffering, right? Okay. Well, if you'd like to discuss more, actually in the next chapter we will have a lot of discussion on that topic. Okay. And then he said, and this monk is the noble truth. What? And then again he say, this monk here. This means just emphasis. Just say, hey, monk. Is the noble truth of origin of suffering. What are they? Do remember this also. The origin or the suffering or the cause of the suffering. 苦的因. The cause of suffering is the craving that makes for further becoming, accompanied by passion and delight, relishing now here and now there. For example, or that is craving for sensual pleasure, craving for becoming, craving for non-becoming. Okay. Get it now?
What is non-becoming?
Yeah. Because for example, people say becoming is mean existence, right? Craving for becoming mean actually yesterday, day before yesterday when I talk about the 12 links, 十因缘, we mentioned about the becoming, 有, 有. So, and then so when we say 有 and then we translate 欲有, 有没有? 欲爱或者有爱还有无有爱 the three kind. So 欲爱 it mean anyway you're craving for becoming, craving to become something again and again, right? And then craving for sensual pleasure, 欲爱 mean what does that mean? It originally refer to you craving for anything that makes you feel nice, right? Okay. And the last one, non-becoming mean sometimes some people think that, like even not normally people don't think that way, but sometimes people do think that, like I don't want to be anything, right? It's a little bit close to like aversion. I just like maybe better, like a lot of nowadays they think that I craving for, when this life's finished, everything is finished, not becoming, non-becoming. It still is a craving. Okay. Now, it's important here to understand the origin actually, or suffering, the cause of suffering, is that actually there's a craving, and the craving actually are highly rooted by these three kind of things. Either craving for pleasure, or craving for not having anything, or craving for I wanted to be born in this place or that place or this place or that place, right? And those are still, in a very subtle sense, it still is a craving. And this kind of craving will make for further becoming, you know. When you look back at the sentence, you know, okay, becoming mean you because of craving there, so it goes further and further and further, you know. And this kind of the craving, what kind of quality of this craving is accompanied, you know, it's accompanied by passion and delight. Okay, it means you will have it always filled with like passion, and you feel with the light, you know. And then you will releasing here and there. So this is called the cause of craving. Okay. Now, do you get more sense now? I hope so.
Is a craving like 妄想,妄念?
Let me see. 妄想 is, but that's a good question, because I had to think about in original language, 妄想 is what? Which word is 妄想? I know Chinese usually we always say 妄想.
Because 无明造成妄想, you got illusion because you have no wisdom, so all your thinking is wrong, and like 妄想,妄念.
无明是生嘛，造成生嘛。
I mean, no, actually, according to the 12th link, no, it's when someone have the ignorance, the 无明是不是造成妄想，无明是不是无明因为有无明，在佛教的角度是因为有无明，我们就会有行。对，就简单讲就是我们会有活动但是并不是代表这里有个比较困难的我在想 now I'm thinking about the word 妄想 I think the 妄想 may be much referred to that's why I think it could be with
Wrong view.
yeah if it no it could be vikalpa no kalpita kalpita or could be the prapanja. It means that because you didn't see the thing as the way it should be, then you start to have a lot of proliferate ideas. I guess, but that actually, I forgot. I knew that in a certain Mahayana text mentioned that, but then it's not in this context, in a different context anyway. I will check that in the future if I remember. 妄想, okay.
Can we explain the craving by the fetters?
By what?
The 10 fetters, the Samyu Jhana.
The craving by 10 factors?
Fetters, yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't mention it in the text here yet, right?
No.
Yeah.
It's
That yeah. No, that would be a little too complicated. Why don't we just okay? You know, because why? You know, when you learn this, so far you just remember in the Buddhist first sermon. Then the Buddha, after telling the recluses that need to avoid the two extreme, and then this is how you walk in the middle path, and that middle path, it means when you walk in the middle path, you have the quality of Noble Eightfold Path, right? Because that's a path. There's a Tao, because that's the path. And that means you have a quality of Eight Noble Eightfold Path. And then the Buddha jumped to explain. So actually, I mean, this text is not easy, but I mean, actually the Buddha trying to tell the recluses, so that how you should look at your practice, so that you could gain enlightenment. So the practice is that firstly you should be able to recognize their suffering, and what are these suffering, and there are 8 kinds of them, right? And then the next, but you know there's a suffering, and you embrace the suffering that exists in such a way but then you must be able to find the cause of the suffering. Okay, and then the cause of suffering has much to do with, because, in other words, you could say in a simple way, mean whatever way, because you are having the craving to the existence, kind of like becoming. Either even there's a craving for subtle sense and non-existent also. You know, like some people say, when I attend the one, I mean, there's nothing there. That is also kind of craving for that also, right? But then this kind of craving, this craving will result or will affect us. What this craving is about, and this craving will actually you will again and again affect you, you know, something like that. Okay, and then the craving itself, it's always carry the quality of passion and delight. It's not carrying the quality of like I don't like suffer. No, it's a kind of delight and desire will be there. You know, okay， 就是我们叫贪爱啦，就是 then this kind of quality will be there. Okay. All right, and then the Buddha move on. Then the next one. So, what is the noble truth of the cessation of suffering? Okay. Why don't someone read that first? You know, we read that from below the third paragraph.
And this monk, it's the noble truth of the cessation of stress. The remainder is fading and cessation, renunciation, relinquishment, release, and letting go of that very craving.
Okay, so what then is very important. What this cessation is, and the cessation is that the remainderless fading and cessation, renunciation, okay, relinquishment, release, and letting go of the very craving. I don't need to explain that. Okay, at least somehow mean that you need to able to like relinquishing, like abandoning all these kind of the craving. That's called the cessation. 就是灭，灭力的灭。Okay. In Chinese, usually we translate as a 苦集灭. Okay, 灭. Those are the Buddhist Chinese. Of course, that's what we said here. To translate stress or suffering, the origin of suffering. To write Chinese like this is difficult. Hey, how to write? It's so strange. Anyway, 苦集灭. Okay, now. Imagine if you are not studying Buddhism and then you read the Buddhist text and they just 苦集灭道. Firstly, you don't know they are all words together or they are separate words. Okay, so the ji, it means origination or the cause. Okay, and then the me. What is a me? Mean anyway, cut off the relinquishment of the suffering. Okay, no, the craving. Sorry, the craving is called a me. Okay, the next one. Can you read it?
In this month is the noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress. Precisely this noble eightfold path. Right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration.
All right, thank you. So what's the path actually? Usually it's understood in this way. If anyone that when they able to embrace the truth of suffering, and they will be able, if they have a way to see the cause of the suffering, the truth of suffering, basically, and then the suffering, the craving will be relinquished. When the cause of the suffering be relinquished, it means that you have attained the cessation, and then that time, so you have walked on, or you have attained the path of the suffering, and this path of suffering is called a noble eightfold path. And then it's, when you say that noble fifth path means you have avoided two extreme already. Okay. Okay. Just to remember this so far, because we have a lot of discussion in the next chapter. And then in the text there's a further thing. Do you like to read it? The next one.
Okay, vision arose, insight arose, assessment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose with me, with regard to thing never heard before. This is the noble truth of stress. Vision arose, insight arose, assessment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose with me, with regard to thing never heard before. This noble truth of stress is to be comprehended. Vision arose, insight arose, assessment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose with me, with regard to thing never heard before. This noble truth of stress has been comprehended.
Okay. So when they see this thing, and what happened? So the vision arose. In Chinese or in origin, I mean the eyes arose. The eyes, the eyes arose. And then the next one, let me look at the Pali mean first. The eyes arose. And then the second one is then and the insight, the knowledge arose, actually maybe best to translate. Sometimes I don't really like the other people translate, I don't know. It's jnana, I mean the knowledge arose. The same word what we talk about. Before we mentioned there was eyes arise, eyes come to be, and the knowledge come to be, right? No, in the text just now we read it. It's okay. And then the third one is the discernment arose. Yeah. Actually, it means the wisdom arose. Okay, the wisdom arose. And then, so here they translate. No, I did. But how come they have? Let me see. Okay, Jakung Uttabadi means the eyes arose. Jnana Uttabadi means the knowledge arose. Panya Uttabadi means the wisdom arose. Vijja Uttabadi, I see. The opposite meaning is the ignorance. The unignorance arose, anyway, you could say. We just mentioned about the word ignorance. Wu min ma. The opposite meaning, mean arose. Okay, the mean sen. Aloka Uttabadi, the light arose. Light. Guan min. Okay. So, and then with regard to one, that kind of those are like maybe how many kind of thing arose. The eye, the knowledge, the wisdom, the or maybe you could say understanding or non-ignorant, and then the light. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? What kind of like this 5 kind of quality arose, and arose within that person, and with regard to what? The thing that never heard before. Okay, you have to understand now. Of course, we all heard all the time, but you must remember at the time that it never heard before. Okay, and then this is then in other words, mean they really understand now. This is the truth of the suffering, and then and then again, this kind of the quality arose also. Understand this noble truth of the suffering is to be comprehended. Okay, that means one has to be understand. you know. Okay. And then also, the same thing that this kind of the basically mean the truth of suffering, not only just to be comprehended, but it's also has been comprehended. Okay. Okay. Get it now. Get it now. Firstly, you know it's a truth of suffering. And the second, you know, this has to be comprehend or attend. It has to attend or comprehend. And then the third, and then has been attend. Okay. Okay. Let's look at the next truth. What happened? Are you going to read the next paragraph?
Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This is the truth, the noble truth of the origination of stress. This noble truth of the origination of stress is to be abandoned. This noble truth of the origination of stress has been abandoned. Okay, so and then the very similar, but the only difference is that, and that person know that this is a cause of the noble truth, right? And then and this cause of noble truth is to be abandoned. It's not to be attained, but it's to be abandoned. And then this noble truth for original stress, and then has been abandoned. They were the three stages. In other words, mean first you know, second it's that it ought to do that. Okay, you have to do that, and the third you have done that. Okay. 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 Now and then how about the last truth? Yeah. The third truth. Yeah.
Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This is the noble truth of cessation of stress. This is the truth of cessation of stress is to be directly experienced. This noble truth of the cessation of stress has been directly experienced.
Okay, okay, right. I think I don't need to explain that further, but and then the next paragraph, yeah.
Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This is the noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress. This noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress is to be developed. This noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress has been developed.
Okay, and then the next paragraph actually are a little bit. I think the Buddha trying, but basically, let's read through first. I think the Buddha trying to say that how important this, and whether this is only what kind of person only would be able to recognize, realize this. So, do you want to read that too? The next paragraph. Do you want to read that? Yeah, the long one. Yeah. The fifth one.
And mark, as long as this, my 3 round, 12 limitation, knowledge, and vision concerning these 4 noble truths that they have come to me, was not pure. I do not claim to have directly awakened to the right self-awakening self in the custom is that is Mas and Mas with his contracted in Burma is royalty and common folk, but as soon as this month 3 round 12, the meditation knowledge and vision concerning these four noble truths as they have come to be was truly pure, and I did claim to have directly awakened to the right self-awakening on excel in this custom with is Baptist, Mars, and Bahamas. With its contemplative and Bahama, its wealthy and common fault, knowledge and vision arose in me. On both is my release. This is the last verse. This is now to no further becoming.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I think it's strange when I translate unprovoked is my release. Yeah. It's okay. 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 All right. And then after that, then the Buddha assured them that basically mean he is beyond the Brahma and what the human being is about, and even the so-called religious people, they are. So, and now he could claim himself as the because the knowledge, actually knowledge and vision is also basically the Jnana Dassana means that that he has fulfilling seeing the knowledge, basically. Okay, or you could say because of knowledge he could see the thing. So arose to him. Actually, if you look at the Pali, the original word, it's Anuttaran Samma Sambuddhin Abhisambuddhati. It means that uncomparable. Okay, uncomparable. The Samya Sambuddhi in Chinese, Samma Sambuddhi, and then Abhisambuddha means so, but Janyan Sin. Okay. Yeah, it means actually he attend. Oh, you could say that attend is the Samya Sambuddha, Samya Sambuddhi. Okay, that depends how you translate that word, But Abhisambuddha means he become the Buddha. So. Yeah, but then okay. Sorry. So actually, and then he become the Buddha, and he say akupa me vimutti. In other words, mean, and he's become unshakable. Okay, here that's actually mean. And then he's beyond the birth, So this is what it's translated here. Subject to, So this is the last birth. I mean, he's beyond the birth. Okay, and there is now no further becoming. Not tidang punapava. In other words, mean would not reborn again. Punapava mean 复生, again and again reborn. So that's all right. But then okay. Okay, now what happened after when he had programmed this or explained these Four Noble Truths to the 5 recluses, and the result comes up there. So I'm going to read it, Sagaranda. Yeah.